All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful and honestly most misunderstood ideas in the entire world of strength training, muscular failure. You hear it all the time in the gym, right? But what does it actually mean? And more importantly, how can you use it to finally get the results you're working for? We're going to break down what it really means to fail so you can actually start succeeding. So, does this sound familiar? You're putting in the hours at the gym, you're pushing yourself, you're sweating, but when you look in the mirror, the progress you're fighting for just isn't there. You've hit that dreaded plateau, and it really feels like all that effort is just spinning your wheels. Well, here's the thing. The problem probably isn't that you're not trying hard enough. It's that you're not using your effort in the right way. See, that feeling of failure isn't just about getting tired. It's a precision tool. And we're about to show you exactly how to use that tool to completely shatter those plateaus. Okay, first things first. We have to get this idea out of our heads that failure is just one thing. It's not. It's actually a whole spectrum of effort. Think of it like having different gears in a car. There are 4 of them, and learning when to shift from one to the next is the absolute key to unlocking your potential safely. This is gear number 1, and it's the one we hit most often. It's mental failure. You know, it's that little voice in your head that starts screaming, "Stop! I can't do another one," just because it's starting to burn or feel really hard. Your brain taps out, but your muscles, they've actually got more left in the tank. It's a psychological wall, not a physical one. Now we're shifting into our first physical checkpoint. This is technical failure. It's that moment your form starts to get a little sloppy. Maybe your hips start to swing a bit on a curl, or your back begins to round during a row. Stopping here is super important for safety, right? It prevents injury. But, and this is a big but, it doesn't mean you've actually pushed the target muscle to its limit for growth. And this is the real sweet spot. This is what we're aiming for when muscle growth is the goal. Muscular failure is when the muscle itself is just done. It's tapped out. You're pushing with every ounce of your being. Your form is still locked in, but that weight, it just will not move. Your body has hit its true physiological limit for that set. That's muscular failure. And then there's this, the extreme end of the line. Absolute failure is when you can't move the weight even if you start using momentum, cheating the form, doing whatever it takes. This is the red zone, folks. It offers 0 extra benefit for growth and just skyrockets your risk of getting hurt. Stay away from this one. So let's just boil it down to the 2 that really matter for us. Technical failure is all about safety and learning the movement perfectly. It's your top priority when you're starting out. Muscular failure, on the other hand, is all about getting the maximum stimulus to force that muscle to grow. The real art of lifting is knowing which one to aim for and when. Okay, so this leads us to the big debate, right? The million-dollar question. Do you really need to go to that all-out, can't-move-an-inch failure on every single set to grow? Or is there a smarter way to do things? I mean, we've all heard the no pain, no gain motto 1,000 times. It makes you think that if you're not failing, you're not really trying. But is that what the science actually tells us? Is pushing to that absolute limit set after set really the best way to go? This quote really hits the nail on the head. It's all about this idea of effective reps. Think about it. When you start a set, the first few reps are kind of easy, right? It's only when you start getting tired, when it gets really challenging, that your body is forced to call in the big guns, the bigger, stronger muscle fibers that have the most potential for growth. Those last few tough reps before you hit the wall, that's where the magic really happens. So how do we track this without going to the brink every time? Well, we use a simple tool called Reps in Reserve, or RIR. It's just a way to rate how hard a set was. If you finish and you know for a fact you couldn't have done 1 more rep, that's RIR 0. If you feel like you had 3 good ones left in you, that's RIR 3. See? It's a way to be precise with your effort. And here's why that's so important. It's a trade-off. Pushing to RIR 0, true failure, gives you an incredible stimulus for growth, no doubt. But it also creates a ton of fatigue, not just in the muscle, but for your whole nervous system. Now look at that RIR 1-3 range. You get almost the exact same high-level stimulus, but with way less fatigue. So what's the bottom line here? For long-term sustainable progress, that RIR 1-3 range is the sweet spot. It's where you want to live most of the time. You get all the good stuff, that amazing muscle-building signal, without the crushing fatigue. And that means you can recover faster and get back to training hard sooner. All right, enough theory. Let's get practical. How do you actually use this stuff? I want you to start thinking of true muscular failure not as the goal for every set, but as a special weapon in your training toolkit, something you pull out when the time is right. So when do you unleash this weapon? Well, first off, it's really for more experienced lifters. A perfect time to use it is on the very last set of an exercise to just empty the tank. It's also way safer to use on machines or simple isolation movements, like a bicep curl. And a really big one, avoid it on those heavy, complex lifts like squats and deadlifts where bad form can lead to serious trouble. Now, for those of you who are experienced and really want to crank up the intensity, there are some advanced techniques designed to let you safely push past that first point of failure and unlock even more growth. A classic is the drop set. Here's how it works. You do your set until you hit muscular failure. But you don't stop. You immediately grab a lighter weight and just keep going until you fail again. It's an absolutely brutal but incredibly effective way to torch the muscle and recruit every last fiber. Another amazing tool is the rest pause. With this one, you hit failure, you rack the weight, and you just take a short breather, like 10 to 20 deep breaths. That tiny rest is just enough to let you eke out a few more of those super valuable, growth-stimulating reps. It's a way to cram more quality work into a single set. I absolutely love this quote because it sums up the whole philosophy perfectly. The goal is to threaten the muscle, to give it a reason to grow back bigger and stronger. The goal is not to completely annihilate it so you can't recover for your next workout. Stimulate, don't annihilate. So let's wrap this all up. What do you need to remember? First, know the difference between mental, technical, and muscular failure. Second, make that RIR 1 to 3 range your new best friend for consistent growth. Third, use true failure as a tool, not a rule. And finally, always remember that all the hard work in the world doesn't mean a thing if you're not recovering properly. So you see, no pain, no gain wasn't totally wrong. It was just incomplete. The real secret is training with smart, strategic intensity. You now have the full toolkit. You understand the different types of failure and how to use them. So the only question left is, how are you going to use them to break your own limits?